Thank you for joining iMeet. When you hear the tone, you will be the 20th person to join the meeting. This meeting is now being recorded.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. This is David Blake with the Tuesday Tech Talk. I'm going to go ahead and review a little bit of the last few days, try to figure out what's going to go on for the next week or so. What's going to happen, the market's probably going to go up. Okay, we'll see. Talk to you next week. What we're going to do is, if it's your first meeting, I usually talk about 15, 20 minutes, and then we kind of open it up for discussions or questions. You can ask about individual stocks or sectors or industry targets, something like that. Okay, all right. As most of you know, we've been rolling out the new website to different groups. It's just not like we can hit a switch and then everybody goes on to the new thing. It has to get converted into certain other broker dealers like Schwab and TD Ameritrade and Scottrade and E-Trade and LPL and all these different groups that use it. And so what we've been doing, we've had to roll it out to different groups. And we just rolled it out here in the last couple of weeks to all the Schwab clients, which is a big group coming on. And so because of that, what we're going to do over the next month or two is probably take about the last 15 minutes of a session and again do a little bit of a walkthrough. So if you've seen some of the demos already, once we go to that, you can get your questions out and we'll try to get to those later on. But like I said, we just brought the Schwab clients up a few weeks ago, and Matt's going to come in here and walk over a few of the features. But let's get started real quick with the market stuff and go from there. Here we are with the Dow Jones Industrials. You can see we slowed down. Let me get my little pointer here. Slowed down a little bit last week. Nothing due to the market. It was basically just because of the the government shutdown. Investors hesitated a little bit, understandable with this kind of a big run going into that. The CTI right now is at a +8. It goes to a +7 this week, which is still bullish. Nothing to worry about. It stays bullish into March. Momentum index is neutral at -3. It came down a notch. With this kind of movement like this, you may wonder why it's neutral. The momentum index measures how the other indexes do against the Dow, and right now the Dow over the last, say, 20, 30, 40 days has outperformed the other indexes, and that's why we're kind of neutral. You'd like to see broader participation and leadership. You'd like to see maybe the transports or which are actually the small caps, that type of thing, maybe even the NASDAQ. Sentiment is still bearish at -3. That just means the market's overbought, a little bit too excess of bullishness out there, but that's not a reason to sell. We talk about a lot of times about indicators reaching extreme levels, and that a lot of times that's your red flag, and some of them maybe you do want to sell when they reach overbought or over extreme levels. But in this case, in a strong trending market, it's kind of like stochastics. These stochastics aren't a good indicator to use in a strong trending market because a stock, you'll miss a whole move. A stock can stay overbought for months. And what that just means, it means the trend is very strong, and you don't want to get in the way of that. So strong trends stay in place longer than most investors think. That's why a lot of people will jump out once they get a little bit of a profit, and they're sitting on the sidelines going, why did I sell Netflix at $100, now it's $250. Okay, the number of stocks within 1% of a new high or at a new high, on the ones that we follow, we hit about 32% at the close yesterday. That's a strong number. That just shows wide participation in leadership of this trend, which is, again, a bullish factor that you want to keep in mind. What you don't want to see is a move like this and you only have 100 stocks making new highs. Okay, here we have the NYSE Advanced Decline line. We consider this a leading indicator. You can see we're moving on up. Here's a consolidation from last week in the shutdown, and we're cracking up to a new highs again over here. This was last week's bring down a little bit of the new 52-week highs. Great expansion going into last week, and now we're starting on our way back up again. The market's struggling a little bit today, nothing big, but the number of new highs is we're up here around 250 towards 300 again. So another bullish indicator, no signs of divergence or anything like that. Here's the S&P 500, a little bit of a trend line there, and we're breaking out again to new highs, overbought by just about any measure you want to take a look at. Now, one of the things I do want to tell you, I read today, as far as, I'm not sure exactly what indicator they were using. It might be one of the percentages away from the 200-day moving average. Remember we talked about taking our fingers and touching from here to here, and then you can see how the indexes could come back to mean reversion. But by some measures, the S&P 500 is more overbought than it's been in the last 22 years. So the bad side is it's overbought, but and you may not feel like chasing it. But the other part is when it's overbought like that, things can stay overbought for a long time. There's a guy at the Davos conference over there talking that I'd like you to listen to if you get a chance to. His name is Ray Dalio. He runs the Bridgewater Fund, and I highly recommend that you either follow him. You can do it on LinkedIn, or you can go to the Bridgewater site and you get some of his perspectives on the market. He was talking today a little bit about how we're breaking out the new highs, on the deregulation, all the stimulus we've had over the last couple of years, and basically what he sees is the tax cuts are going to provide another form of stimulation as we're breaking out, which is just going to goose the market a little bit higher, and no threats really of recessions or anything like that. Like I've said over the past several weeks. One thing that we want to keep on watching is the spreads on the interest rates. What will slow this thing down is not necessarily rates slipping a little bit higher, but what will slow it down is if the short-term rates move too fast or the longer-term move too fast. Again, we've mentioned that when they come up to a next FOMC meeting, which opens up again next week, you don't want to see them go, well, we're going to do a quarter, now we're thinking a half, and we may have to do another half the following month. When they start talking like that, we're going to start getting out of some positions, and hopefully with our weekly talks, we'll all be aware of that this is the time we want to take some defensive action. So anyway, one of the things I wanted to bring up, besides the interest rates, that to make you wonder, you keep saying, how high can this thing go? There are a couple of CEOs that were talking about the tax cuts that I was listening to, and one of the guys on there just said, he goes, we think the tax cuts this year will probably add about $20 million to our bottom line. So everybody thinks, okay, great, that's that's going to bump up the PE level and all these things. But you have to remember, and what this guy said, he goes, besides just the earnings, because that means that we would normally have to sell about $250, maybe $300 million worth of product to bring that much earnings in. So this stimulus is going to go for a while. Right now, I think the only thing that's going to stop that thing would be a bomb, or else where it gets too hot, and the central banks around the globe are going to have to put on the brakes harder than what everybody thinks, and that's basically the only thing that's going to stop this thing. We're at the cycle. We're at full swing right now, and I think we got a ways to go on this. You don't want to be on the sidelines. Okay, here's the NASDAQ. You can see this nice channel. We're going up, and now we got another boost over here. Once the first of the year started, overbought. But again, one of the things that's going on here right now in the last week or two, especially the last couple of days, we've had another breakout in the biotech area, and the semiconductors, after some consolidation, are breaking out again too. Here's the NASDAQ advanced decline. We talked about this going sideways. We wanted to see a breakout here, and we're getting that right now. Here's last week's little consolidation, but now we're breaking out higher on that. We have expansion again on the new 52-week highs, showing wide participation, good leadership across the board. Here is the Russell 2000. Let me see something here. Okay, we're good. There's the Russell 2000 walking up this little channel. Little divergence there, nothing I'm worried about. This group, I'm actually surprised it's not a little bit stronger than what it is, but there's nothing to worry about. The 30-day stochastic showed the trend is high, and that looks like it's going to move higher. Here's there's transports, against some consolidation the last week or so in here. Nothing to worry about on that. This thing actually has led the market since the first of the year. It was up about 7% from year to year. We just had a little bit of a pullback to about 6% now, and we should see that continue to break out higher. Good accumulation, a little bit overbought, a little bit of a slowdown you can see, but nothing to worry about on that. Here we are with the semiconductors, and here we had this little consolidation to pull back and going back and forth on valuations and stuff like that, and now we've broken out of this. What was actually almost considered almost a triple top here, and we're breaking out. I'm not sure if that's a triple top breakout on the point and figure or not. Probably not, but at least a double top breakout, which means we should go higher. That's supportive of higher prices. We're overbought, but not crazily overbought on that because we had this consolidation. But that looks like it's going to lead the market higher with the XLK with that. Now here's the biotech. Last year, we talked often about this. This is done a 3-for-1 split, so this would have been $300 last year, and when we got that, we talked about we wanted to be in on the biotechs. Came up, broke out, came back, tested it. Lots of new highs, came back, tested it again. Now we're moving here, and now we've broken out again in the last couple of days. This is driven by several things, and we always kind of pounded the table a little bit, saying we want to be, we want to have a little bit of a basket of biotechs, and there's several reasons for that. A lot of M&A activity right now, and a lot of that is driven by the big pharmaceuticals. They can't develop drugs at the speed the smaller biotechs can. There's too much money and too much time to start a new drug process and go through all the FDA stuff like that. It's much more cost effective for them just to wait for somebody else to do it, and they come in and buy it. They'll pay for that because these drugs nowadays are multi-billion-dollar drugs. So that's going to continue for a while, and that's going to drive the biotechs, I think, to be maybe one of the strongest industry groups this year going forward. Okay, here we have light crude oil. As you know, back here in August, September, this is where we kind of jumped in on the oil stocks, and we've been able to ride this channel all the way up. Every time it gets to the top of this thing, it starts to back off a little bit, which it did. We're up today just a tad. But as we mentioned the last couple of weeks, our original target was around 62, which was here. But we've extended that. I think now that we can hold on to our oil positions and look to get a touch maybe around $70, and we'll reevaluate at that point. I'm not sure whether we'll get much higher than the 70 area. Part of that is because at that point, once it gets that price, the frackers and stuff in the United States can come on board. They can open up the more wells. It takes a while to get them up and running, but if they see the trend going higher, they'll be bringing them back on board. So I think we'll just hold on to our oil positions in here for a while. Good accumulation, a little bit of a slowdown here the last week or so. Not to be worried about it. Like I said, I think we go over here. We keep working our way up to about $70. All right. Best performing sectors over the last week. These keep just flopping around, but pretty much everything's on the move. I was kind of surprised that materials lagged this week. I'm not exactly sure why. But again, we have the infrastructure bill that's a proposal that should be rolling out here next week or so. That's going to give a boost to those stocks. You can buy those on weakness. Here you can see the technology jumping ahead, including today, up over 3%. Consumer discretion, especially retails. You look at Lowe's and Home Depot right now, they're just exploding to the upside. Consumer staples, I'm a bit surprised. You're getting a little bit of a pullback today. And I wanted to bring this up. You had like Procter & Gamble and a couple of these other companies today. Verizon came out. You're getting a lot of companies that are beating high expectations, and you're getting some traders that are selling the news. That's and when something's really flying, like a market like this where you've had some big moves, you're going to have some fast money sell the news. Like Verizon was up like 2.5% this morning after the earnings, and now I think it's down a little bit or flat. That's just the fast money. Maybe perhaps they issue some weaker forward guidance like American Express did the other day, causing it to pull back. No one wants to hear things may slow down by a company when everybody's looking for things to be revved up. Healthcare up 2% over the last week. A lot of that's because of the biotech. Financials still just steadily moving up. Your Bank of America, your all the stocks that the bank stocks we've been talking about, the regionals and all they're just moving slightly higher, and that's strong. Energy had a nice bounce back in here, 1.5%, and that'll continue to move higher as crude oil moves higher. So, okay. Well, one last thing real quick on these sectors. I think you can pretty much go anywhere. Right now, you don't want to be in the utilities. You don't want to be in REITs. Although REITs had a great couple of days here. And again, you're not buying the REITs that are paying 8, 9% because they're just bringing in money. You're looking for some that will have the growth properties. Last thing, real quick, because we had brought them up last week, and I had a couple of emails on them. In the growth and income portfolio, we sold CF Industries, CF, and we also took a small profit on Limited Brands, LB. Went into Viper Energy Partners, VNOM, at $24.78. That pays a 5.5% dividend. And T. Rowe Price at $117.35 is a 2% dividend. And we also came out of, in the small cap growth, Wayside Technology, WSTG, and replaced it with Orashore Technology, OSUR, at $21.71. I think that's still the same. All right, now we're going to bring on Matt. He's going to go over this thing. If you have some questions, you can put them up while Matt's talking, and I'll try to get to them. If we don't have time to get to them today, if you want to put an email address or email them to me later on at either dblake@MarketEdge or else the doc at Market Edge, I promise I'll get back to you later on. So that's my portion today. Matt's going to take over, and let me get this thing so you can share this thing and show you all. Again, this is mainly for the group for the Schwab clients that are coming over, that are just logging in and starting to see the changes to the new update site. And okay,
I'll take it from here.
Yeah, do you see it? Yeah. All right.
Hey guys, so this shouldn't take too long. I'm just going to do a quick demo of the new Market Edge. So far it's available for Schwab, Scottrade, Pershing. Let me log in as myself, so I've got my list. I'm sorry, we don't have Scottrade yet. E-Trade. And retail, just normal retail customers. So here's our new markets page. We've got our performance over here. We've surfaced a lot of things that used to be just in letters. We've added some new things like the S&P oscillator. We've introduced some educational pieces, namely these question marks. So whenever you have a question about what something is, so CTI, if it's your first time coming in, you can click that. You get a nice definition of what the CTI is, what the S&P oscillator is, so on and so forth. This is our feed. It's the same daily market comment, market letter on the Edge monthly that you get in the old Market Edge. It's just in a new look and feel. And you can just click into them just like that to view the text itself. The stocks page, same content as before. We can search for particular stocks by company name or symbol. Let's look at U.S. Steel. So we pull up U.S. Steel. We've got our second opinion. Again, all of our education, so if you want to know what a power rating is, you can click on that question mark, get a definition. You can view the industry group of this particular stock. You can add this stock to one of your watch lists from here. So I'm going to add to a watch list. I'll just add it to this one for now. We've also added charts. So we've got our annual chart on the second opinion page. You can hover over to see a monthly chart. You can scroll down to see more detailed information. This is pretty much all of the same stuff that was on the second opinion in the old Market Edge, just in a new look. Company profile. A lot of people didn't know we had this other stuff because in the old website it was hidden by a drop-down. But we have second opinion, company profile, financials for this particular stock, a quick chart, which this is a new and improved chart, which you can scan over. You can increase you can look back in time. You can increase the amount of time that you're viewing. So basically right now we're viewing all time. You can make it as, as detail, as zoom in to, this is basically the last month, a little bit more. You can also turn off these overlays. So our default is we want to do a 21, a 50, and a 200-day overlay. You don't want to look at those. You can click on these to turn them off. We've also still got our P&F chart. And finally, we've got our Technoscan report, which is the Technoscan, 3-page PDF. It's good for printing, and it's there for people who rely on it. Industry groups. We've got our industry groups. Everywhere where you see an industry group or an ETF center, you can hover over the name of it to see a comparison between that industry group's performance and the S&P 500. One of our other features is we have an export. So we can export this list. This will be this will export to an Excel document. ETF Center, same concept as industries. You can drill in. Here's our export. You can drill into this particular ETF Center to see which ETFs make up that ETF Center. Same with industry groups. You can also drill into those, see the stocks that make up aluminum. And finally, over here on the right, same for industry groups and ETF Center. You can jump to, I just want to view the strongs. I just want to view the improving, deteriorating, weak, upgrades. Sometimes we don't have one. But check back tomorrow because we update this stuff nightly. Downgrades. Industry groups and ETF Center work basically the same. Finally, if you wanted to search for something, you can enter search text. So airlines, let's say. So there it is. Gas. Metal. That's basically that. Stockwatch has a bunch of new stuff, and we've improved a lot of the existing features. So we can edit the name real easily. We can filter this by, I just want to look at the new highs. None of them are new highs today. Just want to look at the upgrades. None of them are upgrades, improving conditions. But basically, all of these are longs, so filtering isn't really going to show a tremendous amount. If we do best longs, 4 of the stocks that I'm following are best longs. So that's good. Again, you can hover over the symbol to see a one-year chart of that stock. You can also add from the stock watch list these stocks to another stock watch list. I only have one stock watch list at the moment, but you could have like a watch list and then an own list. You can move your stocks from the watch to own list. Yes, so export function. Someone has a question about that. Everywhere that you see one of these tables that looks like an Excel spreadsheet, you're going to see an icon that looks like this, the thing I'm hovering over right now. Will, is that showing?
Yeah, export watch list.
So export watch list, you just click it, and it's going to pop in, depending on what browser you're using. Some browsers will put it down here. Some will give you a little pop-up, whether it's saying whether you want to open or save. Whatever it is, it will download it, and then you can open it in Excel. So if I click this, it'll fire it up in Excel just like this. So here's my list. Market at a glance. Market at a glance is still on markets right here. So you can hit market recap or click market at a glance right down here. You hit that, and it's going to pull up your market at a glance. So this list of stocks, indexes and other measurements, advanced decline lines, so on and so forth. Back to Stockwatch. You can delete a stock real easily. There's an X next to it. You hit X. That deletes the stock. That's literally the whole thing. If I want to add a stock, I go to this enter symbol to add. I can do Apple. Hit that. It's going to add Apple. So that is much easier than it used to be. Determine the industry group in which you have categorized a specific stock. David, do you want to handle that one?
Just go with it and click on the industry group and you can show the list of stocks.
I think he's asking how we determine which industry group it is internally.
How do you determine in the industry group in which you categorize a specific stock?
We just have the 91 proprietary stock industry groups. We don't have every single stock in an industry. We will be probably adding some industry groups or some like social media and some things like that we probably need to, and cloud, things like that probably need to be added. If you ever find a stock that you think should be in an industry that's not in there, please email us and let us know, and we will add that in there if it fits the requirements. But not everything. You don't want to bundle everything into a specific industry if it doesn't fit there. We apologize for that.
So someone has a question: can we save list settings? So let me show you what you can do there. So there's a default list that it'll automatically go to, but then you can assign one of your preferred list types, what you want to view it as. I've got mine as my default, as the default. So I make this default. I go back. This is going to show you whatever the fields are that are default in that particular list. I like my default, so I'm going to set those as my default. That's going to save the column headings. So now wherever you go, remember this, so it's symbol, at the end it's 50-day RS, opinion price. If I go over here, new highs, it's going to show that as the same 50-day RS, opinion price, opinion date, opinion symbol, because this is my set default report. Sorting and rows per page. So if I say I would like to view this sorted by 50-day RS, let's say, and I want to view 40 rows per page, the default is 20. We don't have an ability to save those yet, but we're working on it. So that's something we've heard from a lot of our users. Hey, can I save the sorting? But a lot of people have also asked about, hey, I have to go back to my report type every time. You don't have to do that if you set it to default. And you can do that by, over here, there's this report thing. There's this little grid icon. You click that. You literally just hit make default. And tell us if you have problems, if you have problems doing any of that. Because a couple users out there seem to not have the make default option. And we've been able to fix it on the back end pretty quickly. Trading ideas, same concept. On the old site, trading ideas was a little bit less clear about, you weren't just shown data immediately. It was a little less clear about what your options were. So for this, you basically, if you want to see stock analysis and early entry longs, you open that thing, you get early entry longs. If you've got a big report type where you have a bunch of columns and you want to see more, you can collapse these menus by clicking on these arrows over here. So this will show you more. This will show you more rows. Again, you can also add. So if you go to early entry longs, you say, oh, these stocks look good. I want to add a couple of these. I want to add a couple of these to one of my lists. You can add to stock watch list. You can add that to your stock watch list. So now BBVA is added to my list. Advanced tools, same concept. It's point and figure breakouts. It's PNF early alerts. It's some trading ideas long and trading ideas short. Finally, we have our new, and you can also export from here too. Basically, everywhere where you see a table, you can export. We also have definitions of what these particular screens are. So let me show you an example real quick. If we were to go to early entry longs, we go to early entry longs, we have a question mark, we hit that. It's not working for some reason. Okay, we'll look into that. Charts, we go over to charts. Charts is our new Smart Charts. So this is our replacement for Smart Charts. Smart Charts was not running in most browsers anymore. Smart Charts was not running for most users anymore. basically just because Java had become obsolete and it required like a Internet Explorer 8 or 9 or something. A lot of people just didn't have the stuff to run it. So we're working on rebuilding smart charts. You can search for stocks up here. Do Facebook. That's going to pull up Facebook's stocks. Pull up the particular stock I've been watching recently, Williams Partners. That'll pull up Williams Partners. You can do various overlays. You can do add technical indicators. So let's say I want to add a rate of change. We turn it on like that. Now I've got a rate of change down here. You can do the same thing with quick charts with smart charts that you can do with quick charts, which is zoom over in a period of time. You also have the annotation, and our second opinion. So if you want to figure out if you're on a particular stock and you want to see some of the basic second opinion info, you can open this thing to see that. You can also do trend lines. You can do a Fibonacci retracement. You can do a channel. You can do a bunch of these technical indicator tools. And again, Smart Charts 2.0, the new Smart Charts is still a work in progress. Finally, over here, we've got some of our help stuff. So if you want to dig into these to see some definitions and some user tips, we've got manage accounts for subscribing to our emails if you want to, changing some of your contact information, updating billing info if necessary. We've got video tutorials. We've got a glossary, which is all of those terms that are in the question marks that you see all over the place. We also have those in the glossary, just like we had in the old site, and it's searchable. So relative strength, let's say, let's search for stochastics. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So finally, manage reports. You can make a new report. You can add it. You can call it, my test report, and you can just select these values right like this. You can add as many as you want. You can create it. So there's my test report. You can make it default. And just as easily, you can delete them by hitting this X. You can delete the report. It will actually ask you just so you don't do it on accident. You can also edit existing reports. So I want to add day low, day open to my default. There we go. I want to remove them. There we go. Finally, charts. Someone asked a question on these date changes. This is something that is a work in progress for us. We are hoping to get this issue resolved in the near future. It's basically that these dates don't do anything if you change them. It's true. They don't do anything. And actually, I'm sorry, RSI does. Let's see, stochastic. If we change this to 200. Okay, stochastic doesn't. RSI does. Moving average convergence divergence. Change this to 40. The moving average convergence divergence does. I should know this because I built the whole thing. But some of them do not work yet. So I think the stochastics are one of them. I think perhaps the Arun is one of them. So we're aware of that and we're working on it. Expect that in early this year, early 2018. We want to get to a place where Smart Charts is doing everything and more that the old Smart Charts did. But we're just not there quite yet. Finally, in Smart Charts, you can compare a chart with another stock. So let's say Apple and Facebook. You hit that. Got to compare. Sorry, one second. Interesting. It looks like something might have screwed that up along the way. Okay, well, we'll look into that. But yeah, that's new Market Edge for now. And just remember, this is very much something that is going to continue to improve on a daily basis, basically, because we've rebuilt it in a way that we can add new features very frequently. We can respond to user-requested features. For example, the export was one of our most user-requested features. We can do all of that stuff pretty fast and just be more responsive to our customer base. Any other questions? Okay, cool. All right, that's all I've got. If you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, issues, anything that you want to communicate to us, basically, feel free to email support@marketedge.com. You can also chat us in this chat window, where we have our customer support representatives on hold waiting for chats. And, you know, once they pick up the queue, here we go, someone comes in. Hey, it's Matt doing a demo. But you could type real stuff in there. Real questions about technical analysis, real questions about the site, about issues, about problems, about all that kind of stuff. So yeah, feel free to communicate with us. We're here ready and waiting for, you know, to hear from you guys. All right, that's all I got. Oh, the most upgraded trading activity finally, just to be able to tell which what day we're working on in case there's any question. This is the trading. All of the analysis on the site right now is for the trading activity of 1/22/18. Basically, is how that works. When we do our run tonight, it'll update to 1/23/18. That's all I got. David, you got anything?
No, go ahead and wrap it up. Hey, everybody, thanks again for showing up. I hope you got something out of that. I'll be back next week. We'll go a little bit more over some sectors and that kind of thing. If you have questions ahead of time on some different stocks, you know, please join us or email them to me ahead of time. But again, I appreciate you taking your time out of your precious day to join us on that. I do hope you got something out of it. All right, we'll talk to you next week.